here today with Chris Daws, Managing Director of ASX-listed Estrella Resources, stock code ESR. Chris, thanks for your time.
David, pleasure to be here.
Firstly, for those who don't know Estrella Resources, where's the project located?
Estrella Resources is a West Australian-based junior explorer looking for nickel sulphides, and particularly nickel sulphides in the Class A side of things. So our project's located 80 kilometres northeast of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder in Western Australia, and it's our flagship project.
And part of the project has seen a lot of exploration, but a part of the project hasn't. You've gone out exploring into that area and you're starting to see some more than interesting results.
Yes, David. The project was located by local pastoralists in the late 60s in the nickel boom, and there was outcropping gossans and nickel copper, and they brought in a company, Great Boulder Mines, in 1968, and they drilled these nickel copper pipes that eventually were mined by Western Mining in the 1970s in the nickel boom. And it's changed hands over time, over the last sort of 40, 50 years. In soft hands, in hard hands, and then eventually to Australasia Resources in 2018, and we've been at it for the last 2 years trying to unlock the potential of this particular area.
And reasonably unexplored?
Look, it's been explored around the immediate mine area, quite extensive drilling by various parties looking to continue on the mining operation at Carboid Rocks, but the regional area had fragmented ownership over a long period of time, and the tenements weren't in the hands of the owners of the mine, and they had the deep pockets, and hence it was in hands of junior explorers that didn't have deep pockets and weren't thoroughly exploring the area. That has now been consolidated in one land package in the entire mafic layered intrusion, which is the targeted intrusion that we're looking at, and that's very important to know. And that it's been consolidated by ourselves and expanded on by ourselves in new tenement applications. So it's a very large area in excess of 250 square kilometres, and we're looking to expand and have been expanding the exploration away from the immediate mine area, and that's where we've been having some really good success.
And what drove you to that area in particular?
Look, we always thought that the nickel sulphides at Carboid Rocks were from a source. They were remobilised through the country rock, and we saw some photos about 14 years ago. In fact, I saw photos 14 years ago when I was involved in acquiring nickel projects, and this particular photo I saw in the public domain, and that showed me that these sulphides at Carboid Rocks were remobilised, and that excited me to go hunting for this project in the last few years. And those remobilised sulphides have to have come from somewhere, whether they're deep down too far to be found, or whether they're in close proximity, north, south, east, west. That's what we were trying to determine. And what occurred a few weeks ago when we drilled quite a deep hole at 600 metres depth, or targeted 600 metres depth, we actually hit massive nickel sulphides that no one has done in the last 50 years outside of the immediate mine area.
Did that surprise you?
It was very surprising. It was a blind hit. We didn't have a EM plate. It wasn't a targeted hole as such. It was purely a stratigraphic hole to look at the geology and where the intrusion was. So we had determined that there was nickel mineralisation in the area through some surface geochemistry, and we did do a moving loop ground EM that showed an EM plate further up the system, about 300 or 400 metres away to the north, and we decided that we would step out from that and drill, and committed quite substantial funds for a junior mining company, committed some significant funds. I had the backing of the board, some of the major shareholders, and we committed to drilling 600 metre holes, 300 metres north and 300 metres south. And this particular hole to the south, we've hit this 15 metres of sulphide mineralisation on the contact where you want to find it, and it's very exciting, and hence the market has reacted to that over the last few weeks.
So you hit the massive sulphides. The next step is?
Next step for us is obviously, and we've logged the core, we've analysed the core with PXRF. We know it's nickeliferous and contains nickel and copper. We've now cut that core. It's now in the laboratories for assay. Those assays are due back over the course of the next few weeks. That'll be determining, the grade and what we're dealing with in terms of grade of potentially a fairly large deposit, we believe. We've recently done downhole geophysics, and the downhole geophysics we used a moderate frequency to determine and see whether this massive sulphide would conduct outside the boundaries of the drill hole, and that has come back with some really pleasing results. In fact, we're seeing that the conductivity around the hole extends beyond the reach of the downhole EM capacity to see, and it's 100 metres north, 100 metres south, 100 metres down dip and 100 metres up. So what we now need to do is go back and drill some step out holes and then survey that again with the downhole geophysics. We will light it up and see whether this conductive source continues, and if it's got grade, if the assays come back, if it's got grade and it's got size, we'll be sitting on a very, very significant ore body.
And you're drilling at the moment?
We are drilling at the moment. Our plan was to drill 3 deep stratigraphic holes. We completed the 2 and the southern one hit mineralisation. We weren't quite sure when we were going to get the downhole geophysic crews back in. It's quite a tight market at the moment and can take some weeks. We decided, instead of letting the rig sit idle and costing shareholders funds, we decided that we would continue on with the phase 1 program and drill a northern hole, which is 600 metres to the north, to get some more geological interpretation, see where this contact is. And obviously if we hit mineralisation 600 metres up the road, so to speak, that also would be a very, very interesting event for the company.
How far into the hole are you, and how long is it expected to drill for?
The hole's been going for a couple of weeks now. We expect that hole to be finished within the week. Certainly at any time we may pass through the contact, and certainly if it's mineralised, we'll need to make an immediate announcement to the shareholders and to the market in that regard.
Can't predict the future, but you didn't actually drill on the target.
No, so the geological reasoning was we wanted to step away from the noise, so to speak, drill some deep targeted stratigraphic holes so that we could then utilise modern geophysics that can see quite a long range from the holes now. 10 years ago we couldn't see more than 5, 10, 15 metres from the hole, and today we're using much better equipment, higher amplitudes, more power into the system, better receivers, better transmitters, and we're seeing and having the ability to see further from the hole. So it becomes more cost effective to drill these stratigraphic holes and then light them up with the downhole geophysics to actually see where the mineralisation may lie. Fortunately for us, we've actually gone through the mineralisation, hit massive sulphides, which look to be high grade nickel and copper, and we've gone through the mineralisation and we can map that very accurately now from the hole.
Looking forward, what's the exploration program look like? Obviously you were in a program of phase 1, but have things changed?
Things are changing dramatically. Look, we were quite happy with our little phase 1 program of some sort of 1800 metres. We're now going to an immediate phase 2. We've expanded that to a 5,000 metre diamond drill program. We need to immediately drill out the surrounds of our CBD 30 hole, which intersected quite substantial mineralisation, and then obviously survey that. Depending upon where phase 2 takes us, that will continue to roll and we'll continue to drill until we see the extent of this particular mineralisation, hopefully a fairly large ore body. But things have certainly changed for us. We are putting in certainly increased infrastructure. We're putting up radio towers, communications. We're putting in further camp facilities. We're upgrading the roads. We're putting in and re-gazetting the RFDS airstrip so that we can be in a position to actually allow the increase in personnel. We'll be bringing in more rigs. In the next 2 weeks we'll have another rig on site, and that will continue to grow as our confidence in this ore body grows.
You've been around the resources game a long time. The Daws family is synonymous with resources, particularly in the Kalgoorlie-Boulder region. Has this one got you excited?
This is very, very, very exciting. I haven't been involved in a discovery of this type in such a manner that we've done it in. Certainly we've been around for a while, 20 odd years in the nickel exploration game, and we've found a few things, but nothing that has the size potential of a mafic layered nickel copper intrusion. These deposits can be very large. Globally, that is where you want to find nickel and copper. You want to find them in these intrusion-based mafic layered intrusions. That's where you get your very big ore bodies, and extremely exciting to be part of it and be involved with it. Obviously, we have a very committed team and crew that's also committed to finding how big this might be, and they've been with us for some time, and they're very competent in what they do and what they're seeing and what they're delivering and what they're feeding back to me makes me extremely excited, because what they're seeing as well, they've seen before in big ore bodies, and they're saying this looks very, very similar.
The $1 million question, funding. How are you going to fund this big step up in activity?
Yeah, look, we are getting pounded by the market in terms of wanting to come and take a piece of the action. We're saying to them, look, we've got deep in the money options. We've got probably about $20 million currently of our options deep in the money. We've had a share price appreciation. So we're tapping into our shareholder base that have those options. Some of them have got very deep pockets. We recently did a capital raising with CPS Capital, and they've been very supportive. We've already seen some of the partners of CPS writing checks out and converting their options so that we can continue on with the drill programs, and that will continue for some time. As I said, $20 million can drill a lot of holes and can determine very quickly what we're dealing with there, and obviously price appreciation will come from that, and then hopefully we can go and test the market at a much later stage to the benefit of the shareholders.
So exciting times ahead for the company, a massive news flow over the next 2 to 3 months. We'll keep our eyes on it.
Thanks, David. Very exciting. Very happy for the shareholders, and thanks, listeners.